Gabe Jones into Final Space, another exclusive interview. I've got the incredible Thomas Gore, who is a punch-up writer for this second season of Final Space, and we're going to talk to him today about what he does on the show. So, let's get right into it. All right, so let's welcome Thomas Gore today on Skype. Thanks so much for talking to me. How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm doing great. Thank you again for joining me today.
Yeah, absolutely.
All right, so first up, can you just, in general, what is a punch-up writer?
Well, for me, they would send me a first draft, and basically I would just, in a different color, write alternative lines for them to read. And they could use it in the final script or not. It just depends. Just different jokes, different wordings for a line, additions to the action that are funny, sight gags, whatever. Just really throw anything funny that I think into the script, and they can just kind of use it if they want.
Yeah, and is there anything specific that, in Final Space that they look for when it comes to the comedy that you're writing and, the gags that you're throwing in there?
Yeah. Let's see. Yeah, they want a lot of. They generally want like different things for Gary to say. Like he'll have like some sort of like something crazy will happen, and then Gary will say, I don't know, holy snackaroonies, and then I'll have four different alternatives to holy snackaroonies, and so basically, yeah. So for stuff like that, they want a lot of different options for him to be able to read in the booth and kind of see what is better than holy snackaroonies. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. All right, so you've been with Olin, of course, for quite a while, since Ballon Shop and everything. Can you just give us a little bit of your history and how that all came to you working on Final Space?
Yes. It started at Buffalo Wild Wings on Tuesday night. It was half off wings, from what I recall. It was half off wings Tuesday at Buffalo Wild Wings, where he and I had mutual friends. This was in high school, by the way, senior year of high school, and the B-Dubs was kind of a hangout spot, so we would cross paths there, and eventually became friends. And he, senior year of high school, was already making video, just funny videos, sketches, silly things, and eventually I got kind of wrangled into being in one of them as an actor, and it kind of stuck. We had a pretty good working relationship, and then we after high school kept making videos. Eventually uploading them to MySpace, and then these were all like sketches, movie parodies or whatever, and then we'd upload them to MySpace and ultimately YouTube, and that group we called Ballon Shop, and that was our little sketch group with another friend of ours, Josh. And so yeah, Balloon Shop got kind of big, and Olin went on after that to make his own things, make the proto Gary Space Final Space cartoon. Probably a few years after we stopped doing Balloon Shop, I kind of went on, made my own videos as well, and now we've worked together over the years on things for his YouTube channel and other projects, and now we're working together, or working together again, and a little bit on Final Space.
Awesome, yeah. So how did you come to work on Final Space? You just invite you over there?
Um. Uh. Well. Let's see. How did that happen? I think we have a pretty good working relationship over the years. So he and with me, I'm actually in Nashville, and he's in Los Angeles,
Right.
and he wanted to have me on, have whatever it is that I have to offer. He wanted some of that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's awesome.
He wanted a little bit of that, and so he, thought that being a punch-up writer has kind of worked out perfectly, because he could kind of send me a script, email it to me, and then I'd work on it, send it back to him from my base here in Nashville, and so that's how that came to be.
Awesome, cool, yeah. All right. So what is it like having to do a punch-up writing on a comedy like this, where it's still such devotion to heart and action, and trying to keep that feeling along with it, and writing comedy to still keep it that the adult cartoon feel?
Yes. I didn't generally. I didn't do a whole lot in terms of punching up emotional stretches of the show, or large stretches of action. So basically, if it was already a comedic moment, and there's a lot of heart to it, but it's ultimately, I think it's a comedy show, more so than a drama.
Right.
So it is mostly comedy still, and I would those are the areas that I would just focus on, the things that were supposed to be comedic, the stretches of in the episode that were supposed to be funny. I just focused on that, and let them deal with the emotional stuff that they're really good at. And if I felt like something was out of place, perhaps like comedy moment and emotional during an emotional scene that felt out of place, I might put a note there that this felt clunky or something, but that rarely, if ever, would happen. So yeah.
Cool. All right. So what are you now doing outside of Final Space? Now, I see you keeping up your videos a little bit. So
Yes.
Speak to that a little bit.
Yeah. So I just kind of he and I work on various things back and forth. I might be out there in LA myself fairly soon, for better or worse. but yeah, so I work on. I have my own video projects that I work on for my YouTube channel, as well as my Patreon, which you can. That's my primary focus right now, which you can find by just searching my name and Google. I think it's or I think it's patreon.com/Thomas Gore. That's my primary focus right now. Until hopefully one of these things that he and I have been working on gets going, and but otherwise, yeah, the Patreon and my YouTube are what I'm working on right now.
Awesome, yeah. And so, you've of course worked with Olin for a really long time. What's it like to work with him on this project that's his baby pretty much? It's what he's been working for a long time.
Yeah. I mean, we had worked on a lot of things over the years that were so small, and it's been interesting seeing him adapt to making something on this large of a scale, and kind of navigating that landscape and transition from making YouTube videos essentially to having this kind of epic show on TBS all of a sudden. So that's been interesting, seeing him make that transition, and I think he's done a pretty good job. And but it's just crazy, how many moving parts there are to a show like Final Space, even though it's not like the biggest show in the world. It's not Game of Thrones or anything, but there's still just so many people involved. Whereas we had kind of come from this background where we were, lighting everything behind the camera, doing everything ourselves. And so watching him make that transition has been interesting, and it's been interesting for me just kind of just seeing how many great people there are coming together on this show specifically.
Yeah, awesome. All right, so we're going to take a quick break, and we'll be back with some fan questions.
Sweet.
All right, in just a moment, we'll return with Thomas answering some of your questions and Frantrexians respond. Be right back. Welcome back to Into Final Space. I'm Gabe Jones, and we are back with Punch-Up Writer Thomas Gore from Final Space, here to answer some of your questions. So let's get into it. All right, so here are just a few questions from your Frantrexians out there, all of them from Discord. First, we have Sachi asking, how much of Ballon Shop and past YouTube sketches have kind of influenced the humor that you've punched up in Final Space?
I mean, I think it all starts with Olin. It's kind of his sense of humor, a lot of it, and that sort of developed through the years. You kind of saw it developing with Ballon Shop and his own YouTube videos after that. And so I think it is all connected. Maybe not as I think because we're not dealing with just these crazy sketches that are 3 minutes long and outrageous. These are, this is a show with a really good story and a lot of emotion that we weren't really dealing with that at all with Balloon Shop specifically. So I think it is very similar, but it's also where we're trying to work within the story and within character logic and so forth. So it is very much present, but there are also bigger picture things that you have to think about with a show like this as compared to like little dumb little sketches like that we would do.
Yeah.
So yeah.
All right. So more Gumball asked, was there any episodes that you had to rewrite a joke because it just wasn't working with the scene, or how often does that happen? Maybe.
They usually, if it's working or not working, they honestly don't. They have an idea if something is going to work or if they think it's funny, and but they would rarely, if ever, well, occasionally they would, or he would talk to me and say that an opening specifically was not where it needed to be, or wasn't needed some work. Those little cold openings. Yeah. So on a couple of episodes, I think he would give me direction as to what specifically to focus on in terms of the punch-up writing. But honestly, most of the time they would just send me like a first draft, and I would go through. They wouldn't really tell me what they thought wasn't working, and have me work on those things specifically. I would just kind of go through and just throw whatever I could at the script that they might like better than what was already there. So, but yeah, occasionally, I think once or twice they gave me specific instructions to make a certain, like an opening. I think it was a cold open better or funnier if I could.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Cool. All right, and our last Discorder, Gary is my space boy. What inspires you to write certain jokes for a show like Final Space?
For season 2, I was inspired, let's see, by season 1, I guess.
Yeah.
It honestly, they kind of had a pretty specific comedic energy going already.
Yeah.
So honestly, just reading the scripts from season 1 and watching the episodes, it was kind of my job to not go too far off the rails in terms of what the like what the energy was that they were going for. So I can't, just make it into the Thomas Gore insanity hour.
Right. Yeah.
As much as I would like to, because they have characters that have backstories, and Clarence can't all of a sudden turn into a I don't know, a flounder in an episode, and be that for the rest of the season. But pretty much just looking at what they already have written, and then trying to experiment and just throw things out there, because it is Punch-Up. They don't have to use it necessarily,
Right.
so I can just kind of throw things within reason that onto the script, and they can kind of just, based on what they already have there, and then they can use it if they want to. And that's basically it.
Oh, awesome. Well, thank you so much for joining me today and answer some of these questions.
Yeah, absolutely. It was my pleasure.
Another fantastic interview. Thanks so much to Thomas for joining me today and talking about punch-up writing on Final Space. I hope you're all enjoying this second season, and we've got some really special interviews that are going to come later at the end of the season. Until then, stay tuned on the Final Space Discord. As always, follow me at Into Final Space on Twitter and Instagram. I'll see you next time on Into Final Space.